Hi everyone, today we're reviewing the movie Captain America Civil War, and there's not much I can really say about this movie other than more positives than there is negatives that hasn't already been said before. So let's start off with the plot. This movie takes place right after the Age of Ultron movie, right after the Ant-Man movies, and it starts off with Captain America already in missions with the new Avengers team that was established in the previous films. And this movie's central focus is with each actions that they did from the previous films, with each times that they saved the the world per se, it actually did have a lot of collateral damage, and it puts into focus should the Avengers have some form of order and accountability for all those damage that was actually done in order to save the planet. And this is what causes the United Nations to step in so that way they can have some form of control towards the Avengers where they don't just so that way they don't just work independently from any form of authority, so that way they have some kind of a way to keep them in check, which is a pretty valid point that they are working independently and they choose to go without any kind of restriction whatsoever. But then again, they're the Avengers. How can you? And that's one of the valid points that Tony Stark brings up to the rest of the Avengers, that hey, we need to be accountable for the things that we've done, that we started off that we were really necessary, we were doing our own thing, but now it's time for us to take responsibility for the things that we've done. There's also this valid point where if they are working independently, they choose to go where they need to go and they're causing this much destruction. Sure, they're trying to save people, the intent is good, but they're no different from the bad guys that they're trying to defeat. And that these are very valid points by Team Iron Man, Tony Stark himself. The other side of this, the other side of the spectrum, is Captain America's point of view, where yes, that's fine. They there is a point to that they do need to be in check. There is some guidelines, but they're going to be under government rule by the United Nations if they do agree to this kind of control of the Avengers. He's basically saying that the greatest hands of responsibility of all this power is still their own, because it's their choice where what they're giving up is that it's their call if they can go save a place where they choose not to, or they can not be interfere if they don't want, if they don't want to either. And these are very valid points by Captain America, where what if they need to go somewhere but they can't because the United Nations says no, they can't interfere because of political reasons, or what if they are sent off to a war that they don't want to fight or necessarily believe in as kind of a nuclear deterrent. That's not right either. There's being used as a pawn for other people's agendas, and ideologies always change, which which is a really good point by Captain America. This movie establishes a great platform where there's no black and white, there's no real bad guy, there's no real good guy. These are all good guys clashing with ideologies of where which direction should all this power and responsibility go to. Should we kind of pass off the responsibility of where the Avengers go to in the hands of the government, or is do we just leave the hands of responsibility to the same people causing the same destruction almost as the bad guy, even though the intent was good? And the throughout the whole movie, you could see the sense of that they're both coming from a groundwork of they both care about what's going to happen with the group, but it's just that moving forward, the paths that they want to take is completely different. This is what caused the conflict in the movie, where do we side with the government, do we not? The main storyline is also still, even though it's a Civil War story, it's based off the comic book art by Marvel a few years back. The central focus is still Captain America, right where it picked up from Winter Soldier, where he's still looking for Bucky. So then Bucky gets thrown in that mix, and they do a really great job of introducing new characters like Black Panther. The first appearance of Spider-Man in a actual Marvel movie that's not by Sony. The acting itself is really good with everybody. They were represented really well. The writing, everybody had a moment to shine. They all felt great. There was really no drawback. DC should really take note of how Marvel makes every supporting character, even though they're not the central focus, have their own story arc, but also blend really well to what's going on. Where it's not just Captain America and Iron Man fighting it out, with everybody's just like, okay, I guess we'll fight too. And yeah, we have nothing better to do. But they actually have their own purpose in the movie as well as to why they're fighting. And they actually go point out on people's past, their histories, their origin stories, that's how they came to be. And also, I really like the part where it goes into what the character's actually thinking, where where the morality would lie, where they would decide with that I want to be with Team Iron Man or I want to be with Team Cap. And the whole movie, it's just hard to tell. It's hard to tell if you've never really been if you've never seen a Captain America movie before, if you've never seen a superhero movie before, you the biggest takeaway is that hey, both sides do have a point. And do you want them to be independent or should they be in a form of control? Even if you're under the control of any kind of order, that's still control in another sense. It's just that you are being told what to do. You don't have a choice. You just go. And if you do go against that kind of order, you go put in jail. You're a criminal. So doomed if you do, doomed if you don't. And it really portrays that really well as a movie. And I'm talking too much about the plot here. Let's move forward to the action scenes. The action scenes is amazing. They did a great job with every fight scene. You'll be very satisfied. And there's definitely a slowdown in the middle, but when it gets to those action scenes, Marvel always does a fantastic job of delivering, especially when you have such a huge event like this. If you're looking for a big fight between superhero versus superhero, good guys just duking it out, you'll definitely get your fill here in multiple occasions. They definitely tease it. It's not like where it's uh, like what DC did, where they were promoting this one fight, and then that one fight was only at the end. Well, this you actually get the whole movie. You get little snippets here and there, and then the payoff was really big. And I like that. The build up and the payoff was really good. You actually do get the fight that you were advertised to see many months ago. Even throughout the entire advertising, it paid off really well. I like those sense. Some of the negatives that definitely comes off is maybe it was just the theater that I was watching in, but there were certain scenes that was the shaky cam, and I don't know why they did that. You definitely notice it when you watch it in 3D. Maybe that was a mistake on my part. Maybe when I watch it a second time on standard, it'll be different. I'm gonna try again though. Definitely on the second time around, see it in standard. Maybe it's just the 3D. Maybe it's just my eyes. I can't help it, but the shaky cam, it was really bothering me. It's just that, man, can somebody hold the camera? Can somebody just hold the camera still? That's your job, please. You don't need the nitty gritty fight scenes that's super shaky where people are fighting and then they go off frame and it's hard. Maybe it's just my personal preference because I feel that they're not trying to film Saving Private Ryan here. You don't need the super shaky cam. Even Saving Private Ryan didn't have this much shaky cam in certain fight scenes, but you do notice it. And that's pretty much me being nitpicky. But that's the only thing that really bothered me. I feel that the movie was great. The plot was nicely set up. The acting was wonderful. The music really definitely played a role too as well, and they did it good. Nothing too memorable, but it definitely did do its job. It's rare that music really gets mentioned, but if you want to talk the soundtrack to this, it was good. I liked it. I liked it a lot, and it's you could tell it was little variations from the Winter Soldier music. It was just picked up from there, and the actual Captain America movie, where, of course, the first one is just the backstory, right? But Winter Soldier was where Captain America really shined, and he's even better when he's with the Avengers because he's a complete leader that you need him to be. And they made Captain America work in modern times with his ideologies of what freedom should be, what's right and wrong. Somebody whose character is like that, they made someone's character with that kind of moral compass work in 2016, so and for generations to come. And if they keep doing this, it's great. I read somewhere online a lot of people are complaining that, hey, it was okay, it was not great. I felt that this movie really sets up a good tone for everything, especially the way it ended. And it's great because you have to actually see that you don't have to have the same similar ideas all the time to be good. Sometimes when there's two sides conflicting, both sides have a point that they're not necessarily bad guys, but it's just that they're fighting for what they believe in. They're not trying to destroy the world, and there's essentially nothing wrong with that. Hey, friends fight all the time. This is what happens. That's life. You're not going to agree on everything, even though you're probably going to reconcile at some point in the future. Hopefully, you reconcile at some point in the future. And but you're not always going to agree on everything. And sometimes the biggest message of this movie is really about compromise, where there's certain things where if you can compromise it, do so. But if you really can't, don't. Just stand your ground. If this is exactly what you believe in, if you feel that something is wrong, that they're saying it's right, then you have every right to say, like, no, I'm not going to agree with that. And I'm going to stick to my guns and fight for what I believe in. There's nothing wrong with standing your ground if you really can't compromise with something that you feel is really needed. And that's a great message for this movie. Whether you're Team Iron Man or Team Captain America, you do have to still. That's exactly what they did. That's exactly what they did. You don't. There's certain things that you just can't compromise, because Iron Man felt he was doing the right thing. Captain America felt he was doing the right thing. As a viewer myself, I couldn't agree more where they both had great options. But if I had to decide which team I would be on, if someone asked me right off the bat, I would say I'm Captain America, not just because I'm a Captain America fan, but he's right. There are times when ideologies do change where even though their method is not perfect, it's the best one they have right now. Until it comes to terms where it's a perfect world where we can completely trust who's in charge, who's leading, it's better to have a certain group of people who's in charge of these amazing powers, these wonderful things that they can do, be at their own hand. So that way, it's in their own choice. Where the world's already taking a gamble with them by them existing, by them not locking them up. And so to me, I'm definitely under the team Captain America banner, where, yeah, it's not perfect. Yes, you're trying to save the world. Yes, your intentions are good, but casualties are going to happen. They Captain America said it himself. They tried to save people, but sometimes that doesn't mean everybody. Sometimes you just can't. Sometimes you're just a second too late from saving that person, even though you tried. But until the day where they can't be trusted anymore, it's where the government needs to step in. That's how I would put it. But anyway, I thought this movie was great. Acting was great. Everything was wonderful about this movie. More positives. The only thing I really didn't like was the shaky cam, but I enjoyed myself as a viewer, as a fan. I got exactly what I was expecting, and then some. So it was good. My overall rating for this movie is definitely a 5 out of 5, and I would recommend it. That's pretty much it for my review of Captain America. I hope to do a spoiler talk soon, and thank you for watching. Thank you for liking and subscribing. Thank you for viewing. I always appreciate your support. Thank you very much. I'll see you guys around. Peace.